reports of the rain starting to clear, we can see without any doubt that Red Bull intend to make this a race to remember. From dead last to potential race winner, they could actually do this.
Hey guys, it's Andrew. So I thought I'd combine two things that I haven't done in a while. Firstly, my scenario mode walkthrough. Yes, it's massively inconsistent with this. We're still on the easy section of the mode of the game, and also just a general commentary video in terms of what's going on in the world of motorsport. So here we are. We're going to combine the two, and for this little bit of scenario mode, this is part 4 of the easy part of scenario mode. It's basically an inverse of Button on Vettel winning that crazy Canadian Grand Prix a couple of years ago. So I'm just going to leave this on in the background. You can enjoy that and pick up any tips if you can actually find any that are worth picking up, because to be honest, this is really ropey gameplay. It's the first time I've played the game in quite a few months. So anyway, F1 testing really feels like it's starting to get going properly now. I'll admit, when the first test rolled round at Jerez, I think it's whether it's me getting older or the short winter break or a combination of the two, I was just a bit meh about the first test, especially with one team not there with their new car, potentially two if Mano actually make it onto the grid. So I wasn't particularly fussed about it. The second test though, I think we've seen a real change. I think we're starting to see the murky waters, which are still very murky in terms of who is where going into 2015, but I think the picture is starting to become clear, or clearer. Ferrari, I know I'm repeating what a lot of people have said already, but I really think Ferrari are quick this year. There's a lot of promise there. Their long run pace looks fairly good as well. So could it be, maybe a bit sooner than I would have expected, but could it be the return to the front, properly to the front for Ferrari, which for Formula 1 is always a good thing, albeit when it was back in the mid-2000s when they just dominated, it wasn't so good. Ferrari being at the front is a good thing for the sport, so I'm quite glad that they're looking like they could do that this year. Wanted to mention McLaren. If you followed me for a while, you'll realise that my first team is and always will be McLaren. I'm not overly concerned. I expected the troubles that they've had to be there. I don't want to sound like a broken record with the testing, but this is still a result of the testing restrictions. I've said it before, if you don't let teams test, how on earth are they meant to get it right first time out of the box? As an engineer, I can state that it's pretty much nigh on impossible to do. I think they're actually in a better position than a lot of the Renault-based teams who were this time 12 months ago. So if you look at what a team like Red Bull did early on, who knows, they could be on the podium within the first third of the season.
The Mercedes has a good chance at taking first here today. He just needs to make sure he can find his way through the back markers before he's challenged from behind.
Moving on to the last bit of easy section of scenario mode, you're in the Mercedes. You've got to keep Kimi Räikkönen behind. Frankly, you just pull away from him, but the AI can be a bit tricky, especially around Hungaroring, which has always been a very tight and twisty track. Carrying on with F1 testing and my thoughts so far, Mercedes, I haven't really been able to break down the data myself so far because I've been really busy the last few weeks, but I think it's, probably Mercedes on top in terms of sheer race pace though. I am a bit concerned that their testing isn't going absolutely swimmingly well for them. Hamilton being ill concerns me. I'm a bit concerned that Lewis isn't quite in the right place going into this season for whatever reason. But this time of the season, normally a driver is in peak shape. We've had the winter break, fully fit, raring to go. Lewis having issues with illness isn't great at all, and something that they need to clamp down on. It's very rare for an athlete of Lewis Hamilton's capability and stature would not be able to do his job because the illness was that bad. Rosberg as well. Rosberg's had his troubles, trapped nerve in his neck. Although all coming out of that, the talents of Pascal Wehrlein, who I've been aware of for a couple of years, his work in the lower formula has been really impressive. Who's to say in a couple of years' time, if Hamilton's contract situations don't resolve themselves at Mercedes, could you see Pascal Wehrlein in a Mercedes in the next couple of years? Who knows? Moving away from Formula 1 and to the World Endurance Championship, Nissan's preparations for their return to top-line sports car racing continues, and they've announced a few more drivers. If you weren't aware, I think it was about a week and a half ago. As expected, a few of their GT Academy graduates are going to be in the LMP1 lineups, especially Lucas Ordonez and Jan Mardenborough. I'm absolutely delighted to see that they've followed through with this plan, with Lucas Ordonez especially, because it's quite a few years now since he won that first GT Academy series, and he's almost been forgotten. I say almost because he has still been doing absolutely stellar work in LMP2, and it's just great to see how this project is going to carry it out. As an engineer and a gamer and someone who does a little bit of driving myself on a very low level, I'm just fascinated to see how this is going to progress, especially with Jan Mardenborough, because he's come on so well in the last 12 months, especially in the single seasons. When they initially put him in the Formula 3 Euro Series, I wasn't quite sure what they were doing there, but seeing how he's developed in GP3 in the latter half of last season, and his continuingly great performances behind the wheel of an LMP2, I really think the guy is going places. And yeah, it's just going to be fascinating to see how they can do as drivers. The team themselves, in terms of running the car, that thing is just on another level of craziness and fascinatingly interesting engineering that all the LMP1 work seems to be doing over the last few years. I just cannot wait to see it run at the 6 Hours of Silverstone when it debuts in April. And yes, it might quite possibly break down early on in those first couple of races, but to see how they're going to tackle that challenge, and with it being Nissan and seeing what they've done with the Delta Wing and the Ziad, they've quite deliberately done it, that they're taking on a really hefty challenge. If you wanted to just win in your first year, it's probably not the way they'd do it, but they're really taking on a meaty challenge. I can't wait to see how it does. And yeah, bring on the 6 Hours of Silverstone, and hopefully if we get to Le Mans this year as well. So that's the end of the video today. I hope you've liked it. If you have, click that like button, subscribe as well. I've been Andrew the Blade, and I'll catch you guys very soon.